What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today is one of the most humidest days I've ever seen in my entire life, and bugs are horrible. So if you see me swatting, I'm not going crazy, it's just because of the bugs. But I want to jump right into this. Today's video I want to talk about where to place your ground blinds. And there's a lot of places to do them, but I see a lot of people that will put them on the edge of a field, which can be okay, but it also depends on what type of trees and stuff that's in that area when you're placing the ground blinds. Now, anytime I'm trying to place them, back in the day, I'd say probably 8 years ago, I hated ground blinds. I hated them. I just thought in my mind, well, I'll put a ground blind and the deer are going to see them and it's going to spook the deer. I'm never going to have success. Well, over the years, I've just experimented with different things and tried different things, and watch people do different things, and then you try things for yourself, and that's how you learn. And today, I completely changed my, attitude toward ground blinds. I'd say, like I said, past 8 years, I've really used them a lot, and it's paid off. I've killed quite a few deer out of a ground blind. Now, I will say it's not my preferred method. I'm not gonna, if I have an option of using a tree stand, using a ground blind, most cases, 75–80% of the time, I'm going to pick a tree stand location, mainly because of I don't have the type of trees, the type of brush, the different type of setup to brush that ground blind in appropriately. That's going to be the determining factor. Wind plays a factor in that as well. How you get to the stand, how you get to the ground blind, all that good stuff. So when you're placing these ground blinds, okay, for instance, on one of my properties, we have a few up in Kentucky that Jeff uses and stuff that brush in very well. But on my property, personally, what I like to do is I have a patch of cedars and pines, right? Cedars and pines, spruce trees, when you cut those limbs off, they don't die right away. They don't turn brown. They stay the same color, green, dark green, and they won't fade out. So when you're looking at your ground blind, okay, and then you have all this green foliage and brush from the pines and spruce and cedars and things, right? It's not going to turn. You don't have this odd looking color there if you're using, say, branches off an oak tree or something like that, where the branches are going to turn brown within a couple days. You don't have this big brown spot in this green area, so you don't have this odd looking thing sitting there. And that's what you have to do when you brush these things in. You have to use the same foliage as what's there. But there's a pro and con to that. If you're setting your ground blind up in an area where there's a bunch of brush, okay, and if you were to cut that brush and brush your ground blind in, you come back a week later, it's going to be completely dead, completely brown, and it's going to be this odd thing looking there, and the deer are going to spot you. Now, this is the determining factor that I use. Now, if I have a set of spruce trees, some pines and things that I can set this ground blind up in, guess what? I'm going to walk away 50 yards, 100 yards, whatever it is. I'm going to cut me a bunch of branches off of pines and cedars and spruce. I'm going to brush this thing in 100% to where those branches that I brush that blind in with, they don't die. It's going to take months for them to actually turn brown. And that's going to give you plenty of time to hunt, do what you got to do, kill a deer, and all that good stuff. So you have to match your ground blind with the habitats out there. You don't want to go in the pines, in a pine section, spruce, whatever, and then brush it in with oak leaves, because again, the oak leaves are going to die within a few days, maybe a week tops, and you're going to have this odd looking brown thing sitting in the pine areas. So that's the key to this, is using pines and cedars and to brush your blind in. And you have to brush this thing in. I mean, you have to make it match what's there. You have to make it look concealed. You have to be able to get to this thing without spooking deer. On my property, I can walk down an old fire road. There's a patch of woods right there, or cedars. I can slip through those cedars. I cut myself a little trail through those cedars, right? I can walk right into the back of that ground blind. I remember last year, early morning, it was just breaking daylight. I'm walking down this fire road. I slip into the ground blind, right? I unzip it, walk into the ground blind. I'm actually getting set up. I'm taking stuff out of my backpack. I'm moving stuff around. And I heard something, a leaf crack or something. I look up. Here comes like a 4-point buck. He was walking right to the ground blind. He was probably 15 yards away at that moment when I first saw him. I stood still. He literally walked about 3 yards from the ground blind. It was the coolest thing. You could hear him breathing, panting. It was during a rut. It was pretty cool. But that happened because the ground blind was brushed in. I took the extra time. I see guys that have put ground blinds in and they just slap a couple branches on there or something and call it good. And in some areas that you may get away with that. It may be okay. But when you're hunting, high pressure areas and they see this type of thing all the time. They see these ground blinds and they see people that overhunt them. They're over pressured, and the deer get used to these situations where they see that big blob, in the tree line. They put this stuff together and they know to stay away from it. Now, another situation that I like to use with this is if you're planting, say, Egyptian wheat, and that Egyptian wheat is 10 feet tall. Sometimes you can put that ground blind right in that, right on the edge, maybe tucked back in about 4 feet, 5 feet in there, so you got the green, in front of you. Just cut yourself a square, the shape of the blind, out in that. Set your ground blind in there. Then you have the green stalks coming up. Then you just cut them, shape them around your windowsill of the blind, and you have all that green cover on the bottom. You can walk through the back side of it if you put your the screening properly. You can get in and out of that, and that blind will fit right in there. I've done this, and I did it I think the first year on the property, and there was bucks out there, does walking within a few yards, no big deal. Get this blind in there several weeks to a month prior to your hunting season, so it blends in, the scent dissipates and all that stuff, and you'll have good success with it. So the point of this video is blend that blind in, match it to what's the habitat that you have, put it in there several weeks to a month in advance, be able to get into the backside of that blind without spooking deer, and you guys will have great success with ground blind hunting. I love it, I enjoy it, and I'm going to do more of it this year. So any questions, post them down below. If you hunt out of a ground blind, leave a comment, let me know how you like it, or do you prefer more of a tree stand setup. So give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you guys are new, and we're gonna get out of here. I'm fighting bugs.